puts us at 82, 49, and 8 on the season, hitting at a 62.5% clip.
Back-to-back golden boots. That's 3 in a row for me. 3 too, man. Like, not a dime. That's called being for the people.
It's over! The Columbus Crew, 2023 MLS Cup champions!
Yes. All right. Here we are. We are back at it on the MLS Live podcast, as always on Sports Profit TV. And yes, we are again fresh off a winning week. That makes 3 weeks out of the 4 to start 2024. Smashed another 2-unit last week. And let's be honest, that 2-unit honestly was probably, could have deserved 3 or 4 or 5 units because the read was an absolute slam dunk. Both of us liked that one. We talked about it on the show, and it was LA Galaxy, St. Louis. Both teams are scoring over 2.5. That game ended 3-3, and it looked just how we thought it was going to look. St. Louis scores on an early giveaway. We talked about how Galaxy hadn't seen a team that was going to high press like St. Louis did, and even still, they had given the ball a little bit away in some previous games. And then obviously that Galaxy attack at home, they're going to do what they do, right? So that one came through easily, smashed the 2-unit. Only regret is not going bigger on that in hindsight, but obviously that's 2020. Another winning week. Garrett, how are we feeling?
Yeah, man, it was good. I faded the Crew for probably the only time this year.
That's tough.
And I can't even be mad about it, man, because we know the Red Bulls are a good team. It's just the Crew have just established that they're on another level. And there's a reason why I've got a future on them to win the whole thing. It's just wild game. But I learned my lesson, so it's fine. We'll take that one lick and not do it again.
Yeah, and we're not going to allow something like that even to, we're not going to get gun shy if there's a spot down the road where Crew is, in a fadeable position, missing guys or, international duty, for example. We're not going to be gun shy about it because we do bet spots, not teams, as we always say on this show. But yeah, I feel really good going into week 5, kind of about what we know about the team's tendencies, the way teams are looking. I think we have a really good handle on it. You've got a 3-unit today, which is going to be the first of the season, which I'm extremely excited about. Really looking forward to discussing that one. Before we get into that, guys, really exciting stuff. This has been in the works for almost 3 weeks now, so really excited to talk about this. We just got a new partner for the show, and this is going to be a really good fit. So I'll just kind of give a quick rundown, and then we'll get on with business and get on to some MLS predictions. But yeah, we're partnering with OddsJam. These guys are awesome. This is not a sports book. In fact, it's the opposite. This is a state-of-the-art website. Basically, they offer plus EV opportunities, and the big thing right now that they're offering is their number one best in the industry arbitrage betting tool, which I've kind of been tinkering with a little bit the last couple of months, and in some years past too, but really last couple of months. They reached out to me about a month ago. We worked it out, and I think this is a really good fit for our show because we're already analytics oriented and we're already, trying to find those value spots. And arbitrage is just something that you can put kind of on top of your routine to bolster your bankroll. If you're not familiar with it, it pretty much looks like this. Obviously you want to have multiple accounts, to be able to do this. But Miles Turner over 1.5 made threes, on FanDuel, and then under 1.5 made threes on Fliff. You can see that's plus 120 on FanDuel. It's plus 114 on Fliff. That means $100 on FanDuel returns 120, $100 on Fliff. If it goes under, returns 114. So it's $14 guaranteed. If he goes, that's worst case scenario. If it goes over, it's $20 guaranteed. So in short, that's kind of what arbitrage is. Like I said, I paid for the subscription myself about a month ago, and I have been dabbling in some of this arbitrage stuff. It's a great bankroll booster. And obviously, if you're in a domestic state, they're going to have the domestic books. If you're offshore or in a state like Texas, like I am, they've got the offshore books. It tracks everything. And it's an awesome weapon to have in your back pocket. So yeah, that's OddsJam. The link to that website is in the description, and make sure if you are interested, use my promo code PROF35 to get 35% off any subscription on the OddsJam website. Yep. So
that's a decent discount.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid discount. I mean, the subscriptions are depending on what you're doing. Like the arbitrage tool right now is, like, I'm not exaggerating, it's the hottest tool in the industry right now. So like it's not cheap, but that 35% off will definitely help at checkout. All righty, here we go. Let's go ahead and get into it then, because we got some great plays to talk about on the MLS Live podcast this week. Garrett, you got 2 and I've got 1. So the thing about this is international break. We talked about it. We texted before the show. We're not going to force anything because we got players out. We got a couple of injuries here and there. We're not going to go crazy with 8, 9 picks for the show, because the goal is to win our viewers money and to continue this profitable streak that we're on. But Garrett, this is yours, so let it rip, buddy.
Yeah, and the thing about the show is this is where we're giving you our favorite plays of the weekend, right? Like, we might have other plays throughout the week that we post or whatever, but these are our favorite spots. And so one of my favorite spots this weekend is going to be, of course, I'm going back to a Galaxy game. I got Sporting KC hosting the LA Galaxy. Sporting were not impacted by the international window, really. A reserve player was called up, but that's it. The Galaxy, like, call-ups are like a question mark right now. I haven't seen any. I was really curious about Joveljic. He was called up last March window in 2023, but I haven't seen anything here. Nothing I've seen on the squad shows that he's been called up. So I'm assuming he's in. Paintsil turned down Ghana. He's got to basically hang around while he still works out some immigration paperwork and stuff. So he can't leave the States. So he's going to be in here. And okay, so Stefan confirmed it. Yeah, because I couldn't find anything that said he was called up. So I was assuming he was still playing. And then Paintsil, like I said, turned down Ghana. So he's in. Peck wasn't getting called up. Puig wasn't getting called up. So that Galaxy attack is there and intact. Caceres, the center back for the Galaxy, he got suspended with a late red card. So you're looking at either probably Mavinga or Zavaleta coming in, and both are what I would call #bad. So I welcome any of them to come in when I'm looking for goals here, right? And I'm getting a good number on the 3 for some protection, right? So I really like the push protection here. As we know, the Galaxy can score, but they can also leak, right? Like, look at these Galaxy games, giving up 3 to St. Louis. Like, they're going to leak, and that was with like their starters. So now they're down a starter. You got a backup coming in the back line. I totally see Kansas City getting 1, and I think Galaxy get at least 2. So I think we're looking at a push here, worst case. But I do like it at this price to be able to get that hard 3. I'm not as interested in it when we start creeping into that 3.25 territory. But you give me the push protection here, and yeah, I'm just going to keep riding these Galaxy overs. I don't see why you wouldn't.
Yeah, dude, I feel the exact same way when you say I don't see why you wouldn't. Like, it's clear what this LA Galaxy attack is at this point. Thanks, by the way, Stefan, tuning in all the way from Serbia. He said he checked local media, and Joveljic, not a call up this go around. So I appreciate that. Love to see folks tuning in from all over the world. That's always fun.
People helping people.
Love it. That's what this show's about. So absolutely love it. But yeah, dude. And I don't want to talk about this too much because we're talking about obviously the over 3, and I'm falling asleep at the wheel. There's the banner. That's on me. But I also like LA Galaxy double chance here. And you said it yourself, Galaxy probably get 2. But in regards to this over, I don't think Sporting at home good to contribute. Absolutely. Maybe even get 2. We get a 2-2. We cash this thing. But yeah, it's like this LA Galaxy attack, and I'm trying not to be like too infatuated and like just totally fall in love with them and just make bad decisions because of how fun they are to watch play. But I'm on board with you here. Let's ride this Galaxy, overs until the wheels fall off. In my opinion, maybe other than some very, maybe short rest or just some weird matchup type stuff. But I said it the other day. This Galaxy team can score 2 goals on anybody in Major League Soccer. Any team.
Well, and to that point, I was going to say I'm also probably going to have some action on their team total over 1.5. It's around plus 150 depending on where you're shopping. And you're looking at, we know how Galaxy play, right? It is pace. Like Paintsell was just tearing up people last weekend. And
Paintsell looks like Tyreek Hill on the field.
Yeah, dude. He's just because he doesn't look like he's running fast. Like he's flying by people, but when you watch him on TV, he doesn't look like he's running fast. It's the weirdest thing. But Sporting KC are also, I think, the second oldest team in the league. So when Galaxy get a matchup like that, I like to attack that as well. I see a lot of different worlds here to where I'm okay with just the over 3. But like I said, I that's for the show. I will probably also have some action on that team total as well.
Yeah, we've talked about Sporting KC's age a little bit, and I don't want to call it a concern necessarily at home because we do know kind of they do flip the switch at home. 2 goals last week, but yeah, the Galaxy team total over 1.5 being plus money on the road this season, to me, like, I know it's on the road. I know Major League Soccer home field advantage is a huge deal, bigger than most leagues, in the entire world, but this Galaxy attack is different, man. I mean, just different. All right. Moving on to the next game. This one is mine. And Colorado Rapids. I don't know if I had looked at the schedule before the season had started, if I would have looked at this game and said, oh, I'm going to be on Colorado. I'm not sure I would have said that. But I am. I'm going to be on the Rapids here at home against the Dynamo. I like taking the Asian handicap minus the 0.25, as long as it's not like minus 130, minus 140. I'm not going to mess around with that, unless I'm like playing like in Portugal or something where the games are like 1-1 every week. But Major League Soccer, give me the Asian handicap when it's not outrageous as far as a price. This is all about the spot for me. Look, we've already talked about Houston, how thin they are. They lost Quinones before the season started. Hector Herrera hasn't even suited up for a regular season game. And that's the strength of this team, is their midfield. Herrera and Carrasquilla, that's the glue of this team. And like, that's what sets them apart. That's what wins them games. Herrera, again, hasn't even made an appearance on the bench. Carrasquilla has been called up to Panama for international duty. So they're missing the glue. And Bassi got banged up as well. So even some of their I'm not super high on him, but some of their attacking options are limited. And we know Houston, away from home, totally different team. In Houston, one of the best home teams, in Major League Soccer a year ago. This is all about the spot for me. Rapids didn't look great to start the season, and that was almost expected because of so much roster turnover. They brought in Mihailovic and who's the striker this year?
Well, Navarro, but he's been there and he was called up.
Right. So they brought a lot of new pieces in. Kind of took time to gel. Last week, on the road at Seattle, they created 2.28 expected goals. And they've only lost 1 game of the year. So it's not like they've been a total disaster. They lost the first game of the year to Portland in a game where they allowed 0.55 expected goals, and they allowed 4 goals on 0.55 expected goals. So that was a little bit unlucky. This is all about the spot for me. Houston, razor thin, health-wise, roster-wise, and Colorado is in a good spot at home. And look, this is still Denver, right? Like this is still Colorado. This is still the highest elevation in Major League Soccer. That's still a big time home field advantage in Major League Soccer. So I think Colorado gets 3 points here. And I think this is a really strong spot. Wouldn't be surprised if it moves. If you've been tuning in the last couple of weeks on Tuesdays for the live show, dude, we had like 120 cents of CLV last week. So lock these in now. I would not be surprised if this one moves. Garrett, any thoughts on this one before we get to the 3 unit?
Yeah, Rapids money line was actually in consideration for me for the show. And that, I need to make a correction. It was Miguel Navarro who's been called up, not Rafael Navarro, their striker. So their Brazilian striker, Navarro, is still in.
Still good.
No, but I looked at the money line. It's around what I typically would expect the Rapids home money line to be when they're in decent form. Like we saw this even when they were bad last season. We saw this number a couple of times at home. Ultimately, I just didn't love it enough for the show, but it was in consideration for me. I think I will still have action on it, like actual, like official action on it later in the week. So I do like the spot. It's a good spot for Rapids. It's a game they really need to win. So I would hope for a win here. But I do like the move you did, getting some slight push protection on the draw for not a bad price. I think if you can get Asian lines, that is probably the route I would go.
Cool. All right. So happy to hear that you were already kind of eyeballing this one beforehand. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, smaller card, but not trying to stretch ourselves, thin on spots that don't have value. All right, let's get to it then. This is going to be the first 3 unit of the season. And this one is going to be Garrett's.
All right, so I'm doing a little two-leg parlay here, and I'll just break down both games individually. It's going to be Portland and Philadelphia, both teams to score, plus Chicago Fire to score or team total over a half. Okay. So we'll go to Portland and Philly, where you've got for Portland, Kamal Miller and Crepeau were called up among some others. That's a starting center back and their starting goalkeeper. By the way, Portland also just waived their starting goalkeeper from last season. So I think it's Pantomas or whatever, the guy who's the backup for Montreal for years. He's also #bad. So here I got the Portland losing the main portion of their defense that they brought in over the offseason, right? And Miller and Crepeau. Then you flip it over to Philly, Andre Blake, Nathan Harrell, Lowe, Martinez, all called up. So that is Lowe is a depth piece at center back, but Blake and Martinez, we've talked about in the show, if you've looked in seasons past, where Philly struggles to keep clean sheets when they are missing one or both of these guys.
Yep.
They're missing both, which I love a lot. It's also important to point out that Martinez's replacement, Bueno, is also called up. So they don't actually have a true defensive midfielder like a dude to lock it down there in the back now. Missing a right back, missing depth at center back. Ultimately, you're looking at 5 starters between both teams that are called up, plus 2 quality depth pieces. McGraw was injured 2 weeks ago. He made the bench last week. I would expect in this scenario, unless he just can't go, for him to start just based on what's going on. But if he doesn't, then I like it even more. Now Portland's down another starting center back.
Wow.
So that's something to keep an eye on. The attacks are mostly intact, right? You've got Evander, Anthony Moreno for Portland. They're there. And then for Philly, Carranza, Ura, Sullivan, they're there. Gazdag and McGlynn are called up. That does blunt Philly's attack. Like, I can't get around that. McGlynn is one of the best passers in MLS. Gazdag is a penalty machine. But with everything Portland's missing, because they weren't like a stout defense before these call-ups. So with everything Portland's missing, I do expect Philly to at least get one. And then again, I think Philly could leak here potentially, depending on how this goes. And I said, I think last episode, I think Portland are frauds, but I'll take almost any team against what Philly's going to have to run out this weekend when you're looking at that defense. Yeah, and so let me jump back into the Fire game now, because the Fire game might actually be my favorite spot of the whole weekend.
Okay.
And I was trying to figure out how I wanted to play it. Ended up just saying, if the Fire give me a goal, I'm happy. So they're going to New England. So the Revs have the worst expected goals against in the league at 9.5.
Brutal.
But to be fair, 4.5 of those came versus DC in week 1 when they got that early red card. But they've still given up 5 expected goals in their last 3 games. Ravis, the goalkeeper they signed in the offseason, who we just expected to be good because that's what New England does, he has not been good yet. Like it's been pretty much a disaster back there. But he did get called up. So now I'm assuming Earl Edwards Jr. comes in, another hashtag bad goalkeeper. So I would like it regardless of which goalkeeper was in, just because of how bad the starter has been. But Edwards Jr. does not scare me. I'm not worried about him. The Fire can still score on him. But the biggest factor for me in this whole game is that Shaqiri won't be playing because he got called up. Shaqiri is literally wasted space, and he limits the Fire like severely. But on the flip side, you got Brian Gutierrez, who is like the polar opposite, right? And now he's going to have to play the 10 because Shaqiri isn't there to play it. He does so much for this Fire side. He's a much better 10 when he's in than when Shaq's in. And I don't even think Gutierrez is a true 10, but he's a 20-year-old and he's got talent just oozing out of him.
Yep.
Now with Shaq, like, so you guys think Shaqiri's been playing, right? With him helping in no way, the Fire still have a 7 expected goals through 4 games this season. So with a better 11, in my opinion, without Shaq, I don't see how the Fire don't net 1 here, right? Like, this is my favorite. I looked at the Fire team total. I looked at Fire money line. Like, this is a game that I had circled and I loved. And I just ultimately decided on, I just need 1 goal from the Fire, right? And I should absolutely get that here with how they're going to line up. So I get 2 teams in Portland and Philly just going to be just empty on defense. Like, there's just so many holes there, plus the Fire to score 1. And yeah, just based on the situation, this is enough for me to fire 3 units at plus 124. It's plus money.
Love the plus money. What I really like about this play, other than the plus money, is that, look, like I'm not saying this in a like in a way to gloat or to have a big head or anything, but we know these teams so well that we know, like you said with Philadelphia, when Blake is out or was it
Martinez?
When the central defensive mid there, Martinez, or when Blake is out, either or, it's a different defense because those 2 guys, they direct the defense. Blake is Martinez is he's fantastic. Without those guys, it's completely different. So we know what these teams are going to look like minus some of those players, and that makes a big difference. Also with Philadelphia, Carranza being back is huge because I have even got sucked into thinking like, they can do it with and the other guys, but when Carranza steps on the field, he's clearly the best goal scorer on the team. So they need him out there, and he's going to be out there for this one, which I really like. I also just like this matchup, and I like watching Portland games because of where they play in the venue and the atmosphere. I've always kind of been a sucker for,
and because it's MLS after dark,
and it's typically after dark, which how can you not love it? Okay, then the other game, New England, man, they stink right now.
New England could be one of my worst takes in a long time.
Well, I already hated them, so I'm not going to give myself credit because it was more just about hate than actually, analyzing them. But Chicago, again, I go back to knowing who the players are, knowing how they fit in their respective schemes. Shaqiri being out, actually being a positive, is it's right. It's correct. Some people that just look at a roster might not know that, but him being out, Gutierrez being able to pull the strings there instead, being a positive. I love that about this play. And the big thing is this: it's international break. We're using these absences to our advantage, or we're at least trying to this week. So yeah, I'm on board with this one. I think I've tailed every 3 unit either of us have ever posted on a show, as well as the 2 units. So I'm always rooting for him heavy. We'll be watching those games a little closer, of course. Looks like some people popping
The
up.
chat's been lively. Let's get into it.
The chat. Okay, let me here we go. Let's get to the chat. All right. Graham from Toronto, living in Vancouver. He's got an authentic Insigne. When this 3 unit hits, what do I buy? This is a question for Garrett, 100%, because this is right up your alley. I mean, there's no two ways about it.
I do love me a kit. Well, he's living in Vancouver. He's probably not, but he's from Toronto, right? So he's probably not going to want a Vancouver jersey. I think the Vancouver jerseys are actually very nice. It's a dark blue, a gold anniversary badge. Looks really clean. But if we're not doing the Vancouver one, just so you can fit in up there, then
the Starry Night.
No, actually, that one looks like what's the spray paint you would put in a pen and blow? Do you remember when we were kids? I don't know. It doesn't look good in my opinion. I know a lot of people love it. It's not for me.
I like
it. If it's me, I think Seattle's one is one you can get and hold on to. It looks like an old school English championship jersey,
right?
With the brand new crest on it after 50 years. I think it looks really clean. Yeah. So if you were going to get one jersey right now, I'd probably say Seattle.
Yeah, and that jersey, that like you said, that one's going to stand the test of time. Sean Fisher asking about a record on 3 units. I don't actually have that on hand. I know it's been really good. I mean, it's been overwhelmingly profitable. I'm going to guess 3 units have probably hit somewhere around 70%. I mean, is that crazy? Or, I mean,
no, I mean, because we don't put them out. They're rare plays for us.
Right. Yeah. Once every 4 episodes, 4 or 5 episodes. Yeah. Yeah. So I'd say probably somewhere around 70% on 3 units, 2 units somewhere in there too, because we absolutely obliterated 2 units last year. So multi-units on this show have done very well. What's else? Okay. We got somebody asking, this is interesting. Portland versus El Fararito. I don't know who that is. Do you know who that is? Oh, are you talking about a U.S. Open Cup game? I think that's what he's talking about. It's Portland 2.
Oh, Portland 2. Okay, that's what threw me off. I'm like, what?
All those games are on YouTube.
Yeah,
most of them.
Is it on the what channel?
They are on BR Bleacher Report.
That's right. Yep.
Bleacher Report. Yep. Cool. Orlando, Austin, both teams have scored. Driussi is back from injury. Yeah, I mean, Driussi in Austin with or without him, not even the same team. I totally agree with you there. Both teams to score. I'm not trusting Austin to score on the road. I'm just not doing it.
Here's what I'll say about that game. Austin should not be almost plus 400.
Probably not.
Orlando has looked awful. They've let in just a ridiculous amount of goals to start the season. Granted, we talked about the Champions Cup hangover that can happen, but they've also got a ton of people called up for international. Brecalo, Galesi, Duncan McGuire. So that means you're going to have to start Muriel, who apparently all he can do is take shots from outside the box.
Yeah.
Fagundo Torres is called up. So that Orlando City attack is going to look very different, right? Yeah, I guess. I mean, it does not feel good back in Austin, But I mean, +1 is playable right now.
I beg you not to back Austin.
This isn't just like Austin should be +390. Orlando being -150 with the form. There's no way I'm playing that. Like,
Yeah,
so
I've got it.
it's
I've got to
it would
give you
be
your
it would be
flowers.
the spread, or I'm not touching the game basically.
Fair. I've got to give you your flowers on the Muriel call, because you did call it right away as far as, potential, likely bust, because man, it's just not a good fit. Like it's not working. Duncan McGuire is at this point in his career literally twice the player, and he'll be gone soon, right? So Orlando,
Yeah, I still expect a summer move for him. So Orlando's like, it's Muriel or bust.
right? Let's see. Oh, Ashley's pitching in on the kit discussion, the black Inter Miami. What do you think about that one?
I don't hate it. I like this year's pink better than last year's pink. I got last year's black one. So I just went with this year's pink one. But I do like the style with the badge and everything right there in the center, as opposed to the old school badge and logo on either side of the chest. But yeah, I mean, like, you can't go wrong with the Messi jersey.
Sweet. Mohammed, thanks for tuning in, brother. We are doing well. Hope you're doing good too, wherever you're tuning in from. All right. Quick question for you, buddy. I was just kind of scanning through the old Twitter earlier today on the MLS page, so I get a lot more MLS news. How much validity to these Giroud rumors to LAFC? Or, I mean, how much stock are you putting into those? And also, is that a move you want to see LAFC make? I mean, he's 37.
No, they're legit, but this has been in the works for a while. Like, these rumbles have been going on for over a year. So, it's all the big strikers, right? Like, Griezmann, all of them, as their contracts start to wrap up, what are the next steps? The problem with Giroud is he would still get playtime and paid in Europe, right? Like, even at 37.
Well, so would Griezmann.
Oh no, 100%. Like, that's
Yeah.
why it's harder to lure these guys over, right? You've got to give them some kind of really nice package, which getting access to the US market in and of itself is a big benefit. But
Right.
MLS can pay. Like, that's one thing they can do, is if you get that DP spot, you don't hit the salary cap the same. And so they can just pay you usually a lot more than what most Europe teams would pay for that quality at that age, right? Like,
Right.
there are a lot of European teams who will just not even pursue Giroud simply because he's 37. It's just, they're so analytically driven now. It just doesn't factor into their budget. But no, it's legit. I don't know, man. Giroud can score in MLS. I don't have any doubts about that. I look at this LAFC team and it's just not clicking yet, right? The pieces aren't there. They're missing some kind of glue. Bowenga is great, but he's not the glue that makes everything run, right? They've also switched to like this double pivot, which I like. I just think there's still some growing pains with it.
Yeah.
So it's hard, right? Because what LAFC need is a really good false nine based on the speed they have on the wings. Like, that's what I would like to see.
Griezmann can do that, right?
He can. I think Griezmann's much harder to get than Giroud.
Okay.
So, like, if you're getting Giroud, you're not getting the same level that you would want at that false nine. It's just with the speed they have on the wings plus playing the double pivot, you just need that false nine. Like, that's just how they're set up. And so, while I'm never going to hate somebody like Oliver Giroud coming to MLS, even at 37, I don't think it's the greatest move, if that makes sense.
That's kind of how I felt as well. Like, obviously he's still productive, but when you start, I mean, 37 at that point, like Father Time, you could fall off the face of the planet. And I'm not talking about him dying. I'm talking about his athletic ability.
You're talking about Morel.
Yeah. I mean, you can just, hit the edge like that at that point. So I'd love to see Griezmann. LAFC is clearly a team full of wingers at this point and not nines, right? So And that's been obvious. I'm down to back LAFC unders for a while, and until they
And
bring.
there's always a chance that Vela still comes back to LAFC.
And I don't even know
Like
if I
like
want to see that.
like Vela could run a false nine. Like there's chemistry there. You give him that much speed on the wings, he can cook some. Now he's
No,
not going to score for you like he used to,
yeah,
but he can help that offense move forward.
I get that. I just know. So they've got 2 DP spots open for the window. Am I right? Is that right? I think they've got 2.
I think so.
I would like to see them move on from the Vela era. Now, if they could bring him back and he's not a DP,
Well, no,
right?
so I need to clarify. They're not bringing him back if it's as a DP.
Gotcha.
So that's why I'm saying the window's open if Vela will lower his salary demands.
So bring back Vela as a
Yeah, if you
non-DP.
bring him back on a Max Tam or something, and
Yeah,
he's not taking up a DP spot,
and
I love that.
and then you got a Griezmann or a Giroud up top. Yeah.
If they're this far along in negotiating with Giroud, I don't see Griezmann happening.
Okay. Fair enough. And
But
so then,
but
yeah.
what's his face? Man, why am I blanking on the dude who breaks all the European news?
Fabrizio.
Yeah, yeah. He said something interesting in his tweet where he said MLS teams, and it was plural.
Okay.
And I don't always know if how much validity is to that, right? So there could be more than just LAFC looking at Giroud.
Yeah, and I mean, even teams play head games with each other too. So sometimes interest is not necessarily real interest, but I do wonder, like, what other team has a market that Giroud would want to go to
Well,
and has a DP.
the new rule where you're not the under 22 spots are no longer connected with a young DP spot. And I'm getting into the weeds here a little bit, but by decoupling that and just giving every team 3 under 22 spots, well, now you basically just got 3 DP spots, right? Now the
Right.
younger DP hits the salary a little differently, so you still can use that mechanism. Um, but there is now opportunity for teams who were merely keeping a young DP because they needed all 3 under 22 spots to potentially buy down that young DP and then open up another DP spot. For instance, I think with Miami, that's the deal with Campagna. Like
That's what I was thinking.
there is a world where Miami has another DP spot come even the summer once this rule change happens, if they can get enough GAM to buy down Campagna. I don't know if they have enough GAM yet. They did do some selling, right before the Brazil window closed and stuff like that. So it's a tightrope they're walking, right? But there is a world that exists where Miami could potentially have a free DP spot this summer.
I'm gonna,
And that's the name. That's where I'm hearing Griezmann mentioned more.
dude. If
But
Griezmann
it
goes
doesn't
to
make sense now
Miami,
with Suarez. Like that doesn't make sense now. So
yeah. If Griezmann goes to Miami, and I'm gonna say you can probably bet your bottom dollar that Miami will find a way to get that, to get that GAM, so they can get the deal done, because it seems like,
I mean, at some point you do need 7 other players on the field besides the 4 Barca boys.
yeah, I get it, but I mean, they've added some pretty good talent from some of those South American
No,
youngsters.
their under 22 players are legit, and they are going to sell all 3 of them for big profit. Like Gomez, like I saw a report today that said Brighton is looking at Gomez already.
Really? Wow.
Like so those under 22 guys have all hit. Redondo, it's taken a second, right? Like he looked
Yeah.
like a fish out of water that first game.
Right.
And I just think it just shows the step up from Argentina to MLS. Like he was dominating Argentina.
Yeah.
It was easy. And then he gets to the MLS in that first game. It's like, oh, I'm late to every challenge. I'm playing nervous. He settled in the last game. I think was his best game so far.
All right, we'll entertain this last question because it's fun, and then we're going to wrap it up.
It is incredibly difficult right now for guys to leave Saudi Arabia.
Like contractually?
Yeah. And still keep their money, right? Because so you use Henderson as an example where he postponed his wages just so he wouldn't get hit with certain taxes, and he
Right.
just forego all that. He just said, "Just don't pay me. I'm out. Just let me out of my contract,"
Wow.
so that he could leave. It's
Yeah.
not easy for guys to leave Saudi Arabia right now
Right.
and make money. So that I don't know
That's a tough
that's
one.
an interesting point. I don't see why Saudi Arabia wouldn't want to keep Neymar even after he came back, right? Like he's still like a name, and that's how this league is starting to build itself, is around getting huge names. So yeah, I'm not gonna, I guess, entertain that thought too much, because it's really difficult for those guys to leave.
There's still there would have to be a lot of hoops jump,
And I say that without knowing his contract. If he's truly if it was truly a 1-year deal or something, which I don't see why it was, then maybe. But if he's under contract, almost next to no chance.
right. All righty, let's run through official show plays one more time, and then we will wrap it up and look forward to the games. All right, first one, Sporting KC LA Galaxy over 3.
Just got to ride the Galaxy here.
We're just gonna ride them, and we don't mind if you want to dabble in the team total over 1.5 at plus money. We both kind of stamped that one as well, not as an official, but definitely approve it if you're interested in that. Then I'm going with the Colorado Rapids on the Asian handicap minus 0.25. If you don't have the Asian handicap and you just have the money line, that's fine. Play the money line. This is a good spot. This is a spot bet against Houston Dynamo, who are just razor thin right now, injury wise and depth wise. Herrera and Carrasquilla both out for this one, and that's this team's glue. That their midfield, so they're out. And then, of course, we ended the show with our first 3 unit of the season. Portland and Philadelphia, both teams to score, plus Chicago Fire to score a single goal. And that gets us to plus 124. So 3 units to pay almost 4. So this is a really exciting one. We both like this. And definitely one that we'll be watching intently. And so just the 3 for this week. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Rapids money line around that plus 115. I even saw some plus 120s. But guys, we love doing it. We'll be back Tuesday, same time as always. We got 3
because MLS plays through the international break.
Yes, we do. America, baby. 3 straight winning weeks. We're going for 4 straight winning weeks. Like the video. I forgot to ask you that at the beginning of the video. Like the video, helps us out a lot. Thanks for everybody for jumping in the comments this week. Makes this a lot of fun. And stay tuned. Working on potentially got a little bit of merch going on. Maybe some baseball caps, maybe some shirts, and we're going to do some giveaways. So if you're interested in an MLS Live podcast T-shirt or a ball cap, I got those cooking right now, and we're going to send some out. We're going to send them out all over the world, even maybe to Serbia, Stefan. So appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Best of luck this weekend.